Hello everyone, welcome and thanks for tuning in for this weekend edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. Coming up in this half hour, we'll look at the beneficial use of nuclear energy in Jamaica's development, get health-wise and learn how you can measure your daily calorie intake. Plus, see how government through the Jamaica Mortgage Bank is increasing the housing stock. Stay with us for this informative package.
Without a doubt, tourism is Jamaica's #1 industry, and our dedicated workers are its greatest asset. Jamaica would not be the heartbeat of the world without you. As the industry rebounds from the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, we truly need all hands on deck, yours included. Vaccination holds the hope for tourism's full recovery. In addition to COVID-19 protocols, it is the only comprehensive way to fight the pandemic and save lives. I am therefore urging every worker in the tourism and hospitality industry, in all the subsectors, including accommodation, attractions, entertainment, transportation and craft, to do your part and get vaccinated. Do it for yourself, your family, your workplace, and your community. Do it for Jamaica, land we love. Stay safe, get vaccinated.
Nuclear science plays a big part in energy generation in large developed countries, not so here in Jamaica. But it has been playing an important role, particularly in research that supports economic growth and development. We'll learn more in this first leg of our journey through the pages of Jamaica Magazine.
Building reactors is expensive. That is one caveat in other countries having them to begin with. Jamaica was fortunate in that we had a predecessor, Professor Gerald Laylaw, who had contacts both within the government as well as in international agencies who funded the construction of this reactor in 1984, when the reactor was commissioned. We've been fortunate to use it for so many good works that Jamaica has benefited from since and will continue to benefit from in the future.
This nuclear reactor that we're discussing today is the Slowpoke 2 Research Reactor, located at the International Center for Environmental and Nuclear Sciences in Kingston. It is the only one of its kind in the English-speaking Caribbean.
Strange, not many people know that. It's not a power reactor, we don't generate electricity. It's a tiny reactor and compared to what you might have seen in the movies, actually. Our reactor is just 20 kilowatts, so think about it like 20 tea kettles in your house. That's the amount of power that it has. So it's definitely not power and definitely not going to cut your light bill right now. But what we use this reactor to do is research.
This is very important for us Jamaicans, as nuclear techniques have been applied to study a range of topics from health to agriculture and even climate change.
How the reactor works, it's a device that basically generates neutrons. These neutrons are generated through a process called fission. Fission is basically when the atoms split. So every time those atoms split, it's generating heat. We have a thing in the reactor called a control rod. So think of it like a flashlight. If I put that flashlight on my hand and it's on, you're not gonna see the light. That light in this case represents free neutrons. As I lift that light, in this case the control rod, then I can see more glow. That's more neutrons available. And the more they interact is the more they split, and it's a controlled reaction that occurs in the reactor. When you think about power reactors, that heat that's generated is what's used to propel steam turbines and create energy that we would use as electricity. But in our case, since we're not using it for energy, what we're using it to do is basically irradiate the sample that you give me. So if you come to me as a client and you're curious, what's in my plants or what's in my soil, I basically expose your soil or plant to these free neutrons and it gets irradiated. Once you give me your sample and I expose it to radiation, it becomes radioactive. Since it's radioactive, it's basically going to start decaying over a period of time. When it decays, it has these unique gamma rays, which we can pick up on our detector right here. Those unique gamma rays there can tell me how much of what is in your sample. If you're curious as to how much arsenic is in your plant or how much arsenic is in your soil and chromium, that's the information that I'll be able to provide. The number may or may not mean much to you. How that relates is to regulatory policies that are set by agencies that are not us, for example, NEPA or even the World Health Organization. They have limits that are set for lead in soil or lead in plants or lead in water. What we can do is do our analysis and provide a result so that you have an idea of what you're working with, whether as someone going into agriculture or you're thinking about exporting. So this entire lab is a part of the whole process. When I get a sample and it's prepared, we package them in these polyethylene vials. That's what we use to send to the reactor. If you think about it like when you go to the banks in the States and you put your money in this tube and you shoot it to the teller, in this case the teller is the reactor. We do the same thing here, but they're much tinier vials.
This nuclear reactor and its value to the research field is part of what is helping to make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
Excess salt in your diet increases blood pressure and contributes to kidney damage, gastric cancer, obesity, osteoporosis, and the worsening of asthma. Aim to have no more than 3 to 6 grams of salt, or half of 1 teaspoon per day. And children under 11 years of age should consume less than this. Get healthy. Reduce the salt. A public service message from the Jamaica Information Service and the Ministry of Health.
Eating healthy, meaning balanced meals containing nutrients the body needs for proper function, is important. Equally important is the amount or portion size of your meals. But how do you measure what you're consuming? Well, you can start with knowing your daily calorie intake and what is found in the foods you eat and the amount. Keep watching to learn more.
Your body needs energy, and we call this our daily requirements of calories. And for Jamaican men, it's about 2,100. For Jamaican women, it's about 1,900 calories per day. The calorie is just a unit of energy to say how much energy you need to get around your daily activities and so on. If you're more active and you're not in a desk job, then you're going to burn more calories. If you go to work, when you get up in the morning, you sit in a car and you go to work, you sit at a desk all day, and then lunchtime come, you order and they deliver the food to you, and then you eat that and you go back and sit again, and then you sit in a bus or a car and you go home. So you're sitting all day, you're not doing much, versus somebody who's on the road and they're walking around or they're standing all day like the teachers and nurses and so on. Then you'll realize the difference in how much energy you will need. And so if you are more active, you should be eating a little bit more. But the problem is that everybody is eating as if they're working in sugarcane fields, chopping cane all day. And this is the problem. So we consume more calories than we are burning off. And every day if we keep on consuming calories, you need 3,500 calories to make 1 pound of fat. One soda, if you look on the serving size for these things, these juices and so on, you'll think that, oh, it's just 110 calories. But how many servings come in that container? About 3. or 2.5. So you can easily drink 300 calories like that. And if you do that 5 times for the day, that's 1,500 calories. You almost don't need to eat anything else for the rest of the day. So the excess calories come in the body, and then the body begins to store them as fat. And then you put on more weight and more weight. You have to watch the pastries and the breads and all of these things that people, even when they're vegetarian, they still have a lot of these little snacks and so on. These things are full of calories. You know that one of the cream crackers is about 450 calories. Water crackers is about 500. Yeah, nobody don't want to hear. I never want to believe it either. But this is what you get, the packs that you get, and a lot of people eat them with butter, right? So can you imagine how many calories you're putting in your body with one little snack? And you don't talk about the tea yet, with the milk, the condensed milk and the sugar that you have to have that with. All of these things, they add up without you even knowing.
The ingredients label will go from the most to the least in a product. So if the product is making a claim, look at where that claim is. If it is 1, 2, or 3, because if it falls less than that, you're really not getting value for your money, right, in terms of content. The nutrition facts. One of the first things you're going to look at is the servings per container, and this says 2.5, which means it's 2.5 servings in the container. You are not supposed to drink it, you must share it, right? And then you're going to look at your calories. It says 90 calories, but it's 90 calories per serving, and it's 2.5 servings. So it's 2.5 times 90, which comes out to about 225. And then you come down and you look at your sugar, and it's 22 grams of sugar, but it's per serving. So the entire container is 2.5 times 22, which works out to about 55, 56 if my maths is right. And there's 4 grams equal 1 teaspoon, so you end up with about roughly 14 teaspoons of sugar. And that is, you use this template for all the products that have nutritional facts on them. This is 14 teaspoons of sugar, and the American Heart Association recommends that for an adult male, you're supposed to consume 9 teaspoons of added sugar per day. For an adult female, it is 6 teaspoons of added sugar per day. And for a child, it's less than 6 teaspoons per day. And a child here, we're talking about from 2 to 18 years old. Don't look at a container and judge it by the size alone. It's very important to read the label so you know exactly. And look at it. 220 calories. For parents, we're asking them, to be very mindful of how much sugar they're giving their kids, right? Because it impacts upon their health in the long term.
We try to provide information to parents and guardians, teachers, anyone about the alternatives to these sugary drinks, because really you don't need them in your diet. You can get enough sugar that you need from the foods that you eat, the carbohydrates, which are converted to sugars in your body, which give you energy. So some of the alternatives are, of course, water. It's the best one, but there's also fresh fruit juices. So blending your own juices without adding sugar, and you'll have the natural sugars and fiber from the fruits. There's coconut water. It should be, you should actually drink this in moderation because it does have quite a high sugar content, but it is a good alternative. For the children, freezing the juices into popsicles or ice cubes so that it's more interesting for them to drink, as well as doing infused water. So infused water is it's a process where you cut up your favorite fruit or vegetable or even mint leaves or aloe. You place it in water overnight so that the vitamins, the minerals, all the goodness from the fruits and vegetables are infused into the water, and you can have that. It's not sugar sweetened, and it gives you the vitamins and minerals that you need throughout the day. And then for children, there's unsweetened milk. So not flavored milks like the chocolate milks, but unsweetened milk doesn't have a high sugar content, and it also will give the children the calcium that they need for their growing bodies as well.
The government has been resolute in its approaches to meeting the growing demand for affordable housing. Part of the mix of strategies includes supporting private developers to build more homes. Here's a look at how the Jamaica Mortgage Bank is engaging real estate developers to increase the stock of affordable housing.
Shelter, one of humans' most basic needs. While many persons have access to housing, only a few have accomplished the goal of home ownership. That's why government through the Jamaica Mortgage Bank is ensuring that even more Jamaicans can lay claim to a piece of the rock. As the name suggests, the Jamaica Mortgage Bank provides interim financing for developers to build affordable houses. Established in June 1971 as a private liability company, the bank was converted in 1973 to a statutory corporation. During the 1980s and early 90s, the bank partnered with what is now known as the Housing Agency of Jamaica to fund housing solutions across the island. Today, the Jamaica Mortgage Bank is a self-financing entity with the sole purpose of funding safe and affordable housing solutions for Jamaicans.
The Jamaica Mortgage Bank has financed over 150 projects over its 50 years. More recently though, in the last 5 years, we have accelerated our mandate and we are now providing more financing than before in the last 5 years. In fact, over the last 5 years, we have assessed about 58 projects across the length and breadth of Jamaica, valuing about $26 billion.
The bank offers 3 distinct services: financing for the primary market, financing for the secondary market, and managing the Government of Jamaica's Mortgage Indemnity Insurance Plan. The core of the mortgage bank's work is in the primary market, where it provides developers with financing to build houses.
You cannot go anywhere in Jamaica and not see housing development going on. And that's only because there's such a huge gap between the number of starts compared to the demand. And in addition to that, we know that it's a low-hanging fruit in terms of investments for developers. They enjoy a very healthy return on equity and return on investment. So what we're seeing is that development in terms of returns compete with only the stock market.
In the secondary market, the bank offers a pool of funds to financial institutions who then on-lend to potential homeowners at an affordable rate. And through the Mortgage Indemnity Insurance Plan, the bank provides an entry point for developers to get into the housing market.
We insure the risk that mortgage lenders do not want to take in terms of the percentage of loan to an individual. Once that is insured, then the potential purchaser of a house has a lower down payment, and so they can get into housing much quicker. We think that's a very innovative plan for Jamaica, and we have seen a significant increase in the number of financial institutions that is using that tool to get individuals into houses much faster.
A developer seeking financing for their project may call the Jamaica Mortgage Bank or visit its website to ascertain the requirements for a loan.
We have a checklist of about 27 items. It sounds a lot, but it's not that onerous. It is information that you would have to provide to any financial institution in which you want to access a loan. But some of the primary things that we look at is a drawing. We look at the approvals from the municipal corporations. We look at approvals from NEPA if it is required. We look at approvals from the fire, water if required. We also look at the costs. We look at the marketing because that is critical.
A financial feasibility project document is generated, which is run through the Jamaica Mortgage Bank's credit model. From there, a rating and pricing is attached to the project. Securitization and mobilization are the next steps once an agreement is reached between the developer and the bank.
Most developers will tell you that we behave like a private sector company. Our process is extremely efficient. In fact, from the time of submitting the documentation that are required to the time of approval, once a project is deemed to be feasible, could take 1 month.
The first word I have to say is really awesome. We first approached the mortgage bank in, I think it was November of 2019, and immediately we were introduced to their technical staff that brought us right through the process. And I want to emphasize on the technical staff, because without them we probably wouldn't have been where we're at right now. They really guide us throughout the process, and I can tell you by February of 2020 we had a provisional approval.
The Jamaica Mortgage Bank has been very interactive and cooperative, and we have been partners for the last over a decade.
We are seeing the ordinary person getting into housing development. We have seen an increase in women in development. We have seen pastors, we have seen people who have had other careers getting into housing development. And I think all of that combined is contributing to the increase in volume that we're seeing in terms of housing.
It's pragmatic advice based on profitability for the project and tweaking the design that the consumer can accept and appreciate it. And if them tell you something, that is how it goes. You understand? Them very factual and straightforward. And that's what you need. And reliable. Reliability is what you need in this industry.
Each project is looked on an individual basis and priced accordingly. But we are extremely competitive in terms of our interest rates. We also have a discounted rate based on whether or not that project is considered a green project, whether there's water harvesting, whether or not there might be solar panels.
Persons wishing to access the bank's mortgage indemnity insurance plan will have to go through their mortgage lending institution. Here's how it works. A potential homeowner is seeking a $10 million loan. The mortgage institution is only willing to lend 90% of the loan, leaving the 10% or $1 million for the mortgagee. If the potential homeowner is unable to come up with a down payment, the Jamaica Mortgage Bank steps in, providing insurance for the remaining loan amount. That way, should the mortgagee default on the loan, the mortgage bank will reimburse the lending institution the 10%. So, if you're looking to finance your housing development,
the mortgage bank is here to assist, to help you, to hold your hands, and to help you accomplish your objective.
I want to encourage the membership of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, but more so the citizens of Jamaica to respond to the opportunity to be vaccinated. The evidence around suggests that most persons who are being hospitalized are those persons who have not taken any form of vaccine.
Jamaica to the world is an island paradise and a tourism mecca. But Jamaica is also big on a business and is open for trade. Here's a look at some of the offerings and opportunities in our next featured segment.
Our story is one of resilience, where the versatility and hardiness of wood and the adaptability and openness of water have created a nation that is Talawa. It is this philosophy that has enabled a robust business environment, recognized as the country with the world's highest performing stock market, the best Caribbean country for doing business, the easiest place to start a business and to get credit, #1 in the Caribbean and 8th in Latin America and the Caribbean for cargo movement, the best destination in the Caribbean. This is Jamaica, Jamrock, the place called Yard. This philosophy has birthed a competitive business environment supporting large-scale investments through developments in infrastructure, governance, manufacturing, trade, and logistics and services. With an area of 10,911 square kilometers from north to west and east to south, 150 kilometers of world-class highways traversing woodlands and green fields remain the bedrock of the economy. From there, supporting road networks journey through stories that resonate in the hearts of families. 3 international airports, with the Caribbean's leading Sangster International Airport and 4 domestic landing strips, extend the creative and enterprising spirit of those who call this rock home, all supported by a robust maritime industry. Jamaica's stable democratic governance structure is balanced by strong legislative and executive arms with an independent judiciary. This system facilitates numerous trade and bilateral partnerships that have generated over $6 billion United States dollars in foreign direct investment, or FDI, over the past 10 years. With improved fiscal management, the Green Isle of the Indies is the 3rd largest recipient of FDI inflows in the Caribbean and the 2nd largest in the small island developing states. The country remains a prime manufacturing hub. The natural resources and the supportive framework creates an ideal ecosystem for agro-processing, light assembly and contract manufacturing, fabrication and limestone-based industries. Homegrown conglomerates including Grace Kennedy, Continental Baking Company Limited, Jamaica Producers Group Limited and Red Stripe are several of the brands recognized internationally for excellence. With expanded and upgraded port facilities island-wide, the country is capitalizing on the additional trade opportunities accessible through the docking of post-Panamax ships. These investments have positioned the Port of Kingston as the Caribbean's 2nd largest transshipment and multi-purpose hub. With 51 designated special economic zones, Jamaica is emerging as the 4th global logistics node interconnecting continents and people. With a sustainability approach, the expansion and build-out of economic zones are creating the ideal conditions for attracting global investments. Service with a smile and a no-problem attitude defines the service industry in Jamaica. This sector contributes to over 2/3 of the country's gross domestic product, thus asserting the industry as a key growth area. This is further supported by a cost-competitive workforce. Jamaica remains the largest English-speaking country in the Western Hemisphere. With an enabling infrastructure for investment and growth, this little rock is a business paradise with prime opportunities for swift delivery to consumers and substantial cost savings. So whether it is 19 degrees north or just over 3 hours from the United States mainland, choose your spot. Let's meet and discuss. Where multi-hued seas kiss sandy beaches, palm trees provide shade for notepads, and refreshment is the universal taste of yard.
We are at the end of our half-hour journey through the pages of Jamaica Magazine. Be sure to join us again tomorrow for another show. Until then, there is more to watch on our website, jis.gov.jm, or YouTube channel. Also, check out all the major social media platforms and our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson, reminding you that COVID-19 still a keep. So get vaccinated and wear your mask, wash your hands and sanitize regularly. Till next time, keep safe.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.